What could it possibly mean for the divine itself to be in exile? This is the 16th of a series on Gnosticism for today. And I talked in the previous video about archons, also called the authorities of darkness, who rule over all of us through their human agents. So a Gnostic brought forward today would look at the situation that we're now facing around the world and also here in the US and say, yeah, this is what we wrote about in our stories. The most oppressive people are rulers, and they're imposters and criminals, just as we talked about. So what do you do about that? Part of it is realizing that in such a world, the divine, whether we mean God or Sophia or whatever figure, are themselves in exile. So that's down here in the lower world. They're suppressed. So for us to have a sense of exile, alienation, for us to feel like we just don't fit in with our culture, with our society, with our time, for that to be our reality would, for a Gnostic, simply be the norm for people who have a strong connection to spirit. Because the sense of alienation and exile felt by people of spirit are happening to spirit itself. And just knowing that can be healing. Just knowing that can help you with, oh, I feel crazy all the time, like I never fit in, I don't belong. Well, maybe that's why. So what to do about this? How to liberate some of the spirit, some of the wisdom, how to reassemble Sophia. So a couple of things in the old stories. One is just realizing where we are and being clear about it. But also, I talked in the previous video about passing by, where we do the inquiry of where does all this darkness have a hold in me? And it's beyond what Jungians call shadow work, although that's part of it. It's seeing the oppressive structures that are built up inside our own psyches and seeing through them, being able to put them to one side. So that's part of the work as well, from a Gnostic perspective. Another part is reviving the spark of Sophia that's inside of us. Where is our wisdom, our enthusiasm, our longing for more? Where are our dreams, our visions that things don't have to be this way? Reviving all that is also part of the work. Another example of liberating the spirit would be joining with others in this work, because it really can't be done alone. It's often said about the Gnostics that they were highly individualistic, but the truth is they usually work together, whether that was study circles, ritual circles, or what have you. So it's necessary to be with other people in this difficult work of reviving the spirit as well. And there's a little exercise I do that's hard to describe. I'll try, but I call it Xenian listening. So this comes from a Greek word. Xenos means stranger, it's spelled with an X. So xenia means welcoming in the stranger, just as xenophobia means hating the stranger. So Xenian listening is what I call my own practice of welcoming in all kinds of strangers, whether it's the people outside who need it because they're vulnerable or oppressed, welcoming the things in myself that have been silenced. I try to spend some time outside every day so I can hear the voices of nature that we tend not to listen to. And when I listen carefully enough, it's almost like I can hear this imaginal, not imaginary, this kind of hum from the world itself. I think about it as listening to the sound of the world, below the sounds that my ears can hear. It's like the heartbeat of the universe in a way. It's difficult to describe, but for me, that's a practice that helps me recenter. So I hope that this series has been useful. I might do one or two more videos if questions come up, but I'd like to start a new series. So let me say a little about that. And also, before I do, I teach live classes occasionally. They're paid, but I try to keep the amounts reasonable. So I'm putting a class together right now called The Way of Gnosis, where we look at not only some of the things that we've been looking at in these videos, but others besides them, and from other Gnosis traditions like Hermeticism, Jungian psychology, parapsychology, things like that. And it's geared toward being very practical. How can we actually use these together to help create a different world? So that will be, I think, a 6-week class, weekly Zoom sessions, hour and a half each. Discussion, Q&A, I'll bring a lot of material. So I'll put something up when I've got those ready to go. They're not quite yet, but just wanted to give you a heads up. And then also for free, this new series I'm going to start here, and I'm running this simultaneously in YouTube in case anything happens to this platform, which it's sounding like it's going to. I'm going to look at the fact that we don't really have a mythology for our time the way cultures in the past have, and some do today, but what would a mythology for our time look like? And by mythology, I mean a set of guiding stories, I mean a worldview, I mean a philosophy for our time that can be individually tailored, but also collective. What might that be? And to give you a hint, I think that some of that can be found in fiction. Inspiring fiction works as the mythology for our time, and it includes some of the wisdom tradition bits that I've talked about in these videos on Gnosticism. So I'll point at other authors, but I'm going to use my fiction as an example of what it might look like to have a worldview built into our stories, because that's one of the reasons I wrote mine. So that's coming up. Thanks.